everyone, welcome to Serene Scenes Art Studio. I'm Shar, and today I have an 11 by 14 kind of eerie, scary painting to share with you. It's on a black canvas. It's got a limited color palette. It's got phthalo blue, titanium white, crimson, and gray in it. So very limited palette, very easy to do. But I do have to apologize. In a couple areas I did see where the camera cut out, but I did manage to give you full step-by-step instructions. So enjoy and create with me, or just sit back and watch. Thanks again for visiting us. So to begin, I've started with a black canvas, and now I am putting phthalo blue on, and these are heavy-bodied acrylics. And I will put this phthalo blue on the entire canvas, just as background. And I'm using a synthetic brush. This doesn't have to be put on perfectly. If you have some of that black coming through, that is perfectly fine, and will even make the painting appear a little more eerier, so that's perfectly fine. So I'll continue until the entire canvas is loosely covered. This idea because I'm primarily a landscape painter, but I wanted to bring in the element of eerie and kind of spookiness with Halloween coming up, so it's a little different for me, so it enables me to capture all the elements I wanted. Okay, and as you see, it's loosely covered with that phthalo blue. So here I've just mixed for that bottom portion of the painting some phthalo blue and white, and I went across the bottom part, half of that painting. I went across with my brush, and then I went downward to show where there's going to be some shadows. And here I'm using a plate and white chalk, and I'm using the plate to trace in a crescent moon. I got a little bit of help from my son there. This would best be done with a paper plate. My plate was a bit too heavy, so and there's the crescent moon. Now on the bottom portion of this painting, a big part of it's going to be a lake. And like I said, I used phthalo blue and titanium white, and I just took my brush across, and then I took my brush from the horizon line and just very quickly used quick brush strokes to create shadows and reflection for the trees that I'm going to have put there. Here I'm mixing up my colors for background, and my background is going to be a combination of phthalo blue white and some crimson. And I am using a bristle brush. It's a filbert, and I'm starting at one point, and I'm just scuffling or dragging it up towards upward, just to make just sporadic strokes to create the undercoat of the background that I'm creating. So this is the crimson. Now we're going into titanium white, and I know this doesn't look all that appealing right now, but it will, trust me. This is just the undercoating background cover, so a lot of this will be covered up with some tree limbs and trees, but you'll definitely see why I did this background once the painting's done. And here I'm adding some phthalo blue to the mix. Now from here, I'm just going to take my brush and just very loosely blend those colors in together. Like I said, very loosely. I still want all the colors to show. I don't want to blend them all in together. So I'm very lightly taking this brush and moving across. Very careful not to do a complete blend. Now upward. So for some of these other spots where I think I could grab a little bit more color in there, and I'm just tapping this color on with the brush, and then I'm going to tap them very lightly so it blends in with what I've already got there. Even though this background coat looks somewhat bright, once I get the dark trees in there and all the branches, it actually does not appear this bright at all. And we want the top corners darker, because the darker the top corners, that's what brings your eye into the center of the painting. Some dark phthalo where I've got just a little too bright there, because with dark you want light in order to see the dark, and vice versa. In order to see the light, you need the dark. I want this to appear like very foggy around that moon, and that moon is going to be so bright that you've got to have the bright color in the background as well. Now this I am putting on fairly heavy. This is just titanium white, and I'm just using the bottom edge of the toe of the brush to line that crescent moon. And like I said, I'm putting this on fairly thick, but not too thick. And I'm going to be blending in some other colors to where it looks translucent in some areas and not in other areas. So we also don't want to mess either. I want it to really stand out. Now see where it looks translucent somewhat in the center. I'm going to keep those unblended areas. And see how it's kind of a rustic, rough look. But also stands out. Here I am using a edge brush, an angle brush, and I'm just using a little bit of titanium white here to put the edge on my wooded area. And in this wooded area I just used black, Mars Black, and I took my detail brush and just very loosely put the trees and the branches in, and you can see where that background undercoat has really made it look kind of eerie and spooky. Now where I've have the trees going back, I've also, the ones right in the center are the ones further back, and as you come closer, are painted on right at the horizon line. Under that, I put a dark shadow where the trunks of the trees were, and I left that undercoating there, so it appears as though that's land. Just finished putting reflections of some of those tree trunks in, and I am using titanium white, and here I've also used some zinc white. Zinc white is more transparent than titanium white, so I want you to be able to see the reflection of those tree trunks underneath. As you can see, you've got a very nice water effect. And I'm going to keep that area underneath the part of that crescent moon a little darker, just to create a shadow. And here I'm putting the reflection in. And this doesn't have to be perfect. Just need to be able to show a reflection. And you can blend this in a little more. Now part of this will be covered up, but first I'm going to put some watermarks over it, because I don't think it should look like a perfect reflection. We've already got movement in that water, so I want it to give it a hazy look to it. Making part of the land, and I'm just using black. Now you can make this in any shape that you want. This is just the shape I chose. It's just a squiggly line. I'm making sure to go up on both ends of the canvas, so I want it to be able to dip down in the center there. Just going to finish covering this with black. And later we'll put in some highlights and shadows. notice where some of that moon reflection is, of course, covered up. So I've added the larger trees in. I haven't put any highlights in, and I used the tip of the long part of the angled brush to very loosely put those branches in. And I've also done that with the foliage or the grass the same way, or you can use a small detail brush. And of course, making those trees kind of look a little spooky, I've really made the trees with a lot of knots in them, kind of jaggedy. And here I'm putting in highlights, and I'm just using a dark gray, combining black and titanium white. And I'm making sure to put the highlights where we know that crescent moon light is shining on them. I'm also making sure to put it in the land areas to create a little more depth and to show where some highlights, of course. Now on the crescent moon, I pretty much put gray highlights on all of those branches because they are right in front of that moon and they're going to be a little brighter. Okay, continuing to follow the patterns and the roots of the trees, and this is where it really begins to take shape. And of course, another squiggly line across the canvas to create land. Doing some more highlights up in those branches there where they are closest to the crescent moon, where they're going to be lighter. And not to forget some of the foliage there on the coming up from the ground. Darker right underneath that moon. Now what I'm going to begin to do here is put fog. So I'm just using titanium white, and I'm using a dry brush with very, very little paint, and I'm just scumbling it on there and then blending it in as well as I can, because we don't want this too bright. We want it to appear foggy. And notice how I'm using my brush, and I'm using a soft blender brush for this. Very soft. Like I said, very little paint on the brush. It's a dry brush. We're going to go up tree trunks. Where fog is coming up from that lake. And you can notice where I've put the highlight strokes to create the land. I've got more fog right on the lake, coming right off the shoreline of the lake, and less as we come forward. So we want to keep right there at the bottom of the canvas darker than what is the shoreline of the lake. Now in some of these areas where that fog has covered up parts of our land area, I'm taking a dark is still there. I've also used crimson with a little bit of white to create the leaves on the moon area. And the tree furthest from the moon has some lighter, it's titanium white and crimson leaves. And then as I move closer to the other side of the tree, I've got just crimson there. And this is the finished product. Also remember to put some combination of titanium white and crimson leaves on the foliage. And that's about it. So, I hope you enjoyed this painting as much as I did. Thanks for joining me. And if you like this video, please subscribe, like, and share. Visit us on Facebook, or you can visit us as well on our website at the description below. Thanks again. Have a blessed day. Bye.